Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the series premiere of Warrior: The Itchy Onion. And I enjoyed this episode. Now granted, it still has the kind of similar kind of things that plot episodes usually have of just, there's a lot going on and a lot of world building going on, so its flow's kind of a little bit off. But I've liked what they've done with this show. It is a good addition to the martial arts shows that we've seen. It's not done in the same vein as Into the Badlands, where that's fantastical and kind of over the top action. This is more grounded, trying to be a little bit, now granted, of course, stylized, but more of a period piece. So I kind of like it for that. Now granted, another issue is that this is based off the writings of Bruce Lee, and once you watch it, you really get the effect that this really should have been done in the 70s, and Bruce Lee should have been the lead actor for it. And yeah, it still doesn't diminish the effect of what everybody's doing in this series, but once you kind of have that information, I'm like, oh, okay. So this episode starts off, and it's 1878, and it's in San Francisco, and we see Chinese immigrants getting off the boat, and I really like this because we usually see them coming in through New York, and it's cool to see it from the opposite coast. And we see them coming off. We see a lot of people aren't happy for them to be there, pretty much tell them to go home and everything. And we then focus on our main character, Awesome. And you can tell that he's kind of looking like Bruce Lee and kind of does some mannerisms like Bruce Lee. But the actor does a very good job of not seeming to like imitate and completely try and be. It's not him pretending to be Bruce Lee, pretending to be this character. It's him and having the character, but having some kind of Bruce Lee qualities that happen to pop up. Because we see that, of course, we've got one guy who's the local there, pretty much telling everybody the rundown. He's their kind of contact, giving them their food and everything, talking about how they'll be able to pay off their debts and everything, which usually isn't what happens in those kind of situations, while the customs guys are kind of giving everybody a hard time, and gets this one dude, knocks the rice bowl out of his hand, and he's like picking the rice back up off the ground, but Awesome is telling to not do that and kind of respect himself more. Of course, this draws the attention of the custom guys, and he speaks to them in English, and very good English at that. And they're kind of surprised and they're like, you cheeky motherfucker kind of thing. And it's like, you want to do this? Like, sure. The one dude, he's like, are you sure you want to do this? He goes off, takes off his coat, and Awesome just pretty much takes out with like little to no effort whatsoever the two other guys, and then just wrecks this dude's shit. Of course, drawing the attention of the other guy, and they're like, hey, this dude's good, and takes him off to do his own kind of thing. So, of course, they're conversing in their native language, and we're seeing that in subtitles. And a really cool thing that this series does that I like is that if there's people around that like are usually used to English, they go into subtitles for their native language. But then he takes them to this other group of Chinese people, and once it's just them by themselves, it switches or it does this kind of cool camera thing, and then we are in on it, and it's like the audience is like, okay, we're here, and they're speaking in English, so we can understand. It's a really kind of cool thing that I really applaud them for doing. It's a kind of cool that they also use throughout the rest of the episode, where we see the one dude who's kind of the contact head is talking to someone, another Chinese person, but then this other cop dude shows up, and then it switches to subtitles, and it's just really effective. It's not jarring. I like how they did that for artistic reasons. So he's just kind of giving them the lowdown to not be as much trouble and all that, but he takes them to this one dude, and he's younger June, but we don't learn his name and his kind of status until later. But of course, the one dude's kind of giving him shit, and he's like, "Hey, screw you, dude." He's like, "I know you're not here for your smarts." He's like, getting ready, and he's like, no, we're good. Takes him to see Father June, the head of the Hop Wei Tong, and of course, the Tongs are the kind of, well, first they were kind of like clubs that would like help immigrants get used to everything around here. And then they kind of devolved into some of them turning into kind of criminal organizations. And they want Awesome to be a hatchet man, pretty much an enforcer. And we see them kind of talking about what it takes to be here and everything, and then Awesome is kind of leaving, but he didn't bow, and Father June frickin' goes at him for that. But of course, younger June's talking to him later, yeah, he's my dad, no problem. And I really like younger June. He kind of knows how to play the game and kind of does it a little bit faster and loose, and like, okay. And we've seen for a while that Awesome is looking at this picture, so he's of this woman, so okay, that's what he's trying to do. And who's he trying to find. And then we also see that the mayor of San Francisco and this other political, like a political consultant of like Buckley, are trying to figure out what's going on because we had seen that a cop had seen two guys killing two Chinese people. And then of course they get arrested. He's like, okay, we have to get this into effect because there's this Merryweather project and he has been using the Chinese workers, and of course the other workers, the Irish workers, aren't really happy about that. And we get into this whole kind of thing going on. It's like, okay, the guy had come in to talk to the mayor about that. They then go down to the police station and they decide to make a Chinatown squad. One dude pretty much gets promoted to sergeant and then is tasked with kind of forming that squad with 4 other people. The biggest issue is that they need to develop more of the characters more. Awesome is the one that gets the bulk of the character development in this episode. So I'm like, okay, I know that one of them is a rookie cop named Lee, and he was the one that volunteered while the other ones were picked for him, and he doesn't really have a lot of good stuff going on with any of the other people because, of course, he's from the South, and the Civil War has pretty much been over almost like not even like 10, like a little over 10 years. So there's still a lot of animosity and everything. We even see that brought up in the Irish workers because the head of the Irish portion is drumming up that, and they're like, we fought the Civil War and all the kind of racial tensions going on with like African Americans being the freed slaves and taking their jobs, and then of course they move out here, and then the Chinese are taking their jobs, and that's kind of fueling their animosity and everything just kind of just coming to a head. And of course, nobody's really happy with the situation. It's like, oh, this is definitely going to be a bloodbath. It's like, holy shit. So, of course, he's trying to figure out ways to get his guys out of jail. And, of course, he does. He gets them put on their bond and they go out and everything on bail. And it's going, okay, we'll have to see how that goes. We then see that young June takes Awesome to a brothel, and he's trying to get more information on, of course, this woman he's seeking. And at first, young June's like, oh, he just wants to go find some women because he's like, where are all the women at? And I like how they brought that up because most of the people would be men brought over, and women were forced into pretty much sex slavery at this point. It's like, holy shit. Except that there's one woman, Atoy, which is the head of the brothel, and she's free. She's an independent, wealthy woman. It's like, okay, she's done some stuff. She knows how to handle things, and they kind of go off with their respective prostitutes, but not before Awesome had like asked information on this woman, and of course the head of the brothel didn't divulge any information. And then we saw the shifty-eyed nature of one of the other prostitutes, so it's like, okay. And then while one of them's getting it on, young June, we see these other rival Tong people come in to pretty much take him out, but we find out that they're looking for Awesome, and then we get our first kick-ass action scene, and it's really cool how it's done. It's, of course, like I said, more technical, but it's still badass because of how he just like takes them out even when they get weapons, and to the point where he takes them all out and one dude's on the ground, and just the way he sits down on the dude, kind of like how Bruce Lee would do. I'm like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. And of course he's still trying to look into this rival Tong because once he had said the name of the person he was looking for, that's when it kind of set them off because the Tong people wanted to talk with him about that. either bring him peacefully or bring him by force, and of course, that didn't work out. So, we then kind of see things going from kind of different angles. We see the mayor dude and his newlywed wife and their kind of contentious relationship. We see that Asum is he's walking around with Young Jun, and he sees where the rival Tong headquarters is at, and he eventually goes in there and wants to speak to them about it, and he has another fight scene with this one dude, and it's completely different than the one with the low-level hatchet men. These are like two masters fighting. Well, I don't know exactly their like respective levels, but these are two people that are seriously competent in the martial arts, and just seeing how they test each other and how it's a real back and forth because they don't know exactly the extent to each other's techniques, but of course it's cut short when this woman comes down and tells them to leave, Mai Ling, and we find out that this is his sister, and that he had come to bring her home, and that we find out that she had to marry this dude and was raped by this dude constantly to make sure that he stayed alive. But of course that dude's dead, and he was trying to bring her home, and she's, listen, the sister you knew is dead, gone. And he's calling her out pretty much being for this Tong a whore, and she's like, I'm nobody's whore. And of course he leaves despondent and is just, I really felt for him there because, of course, I've got a sister and everything like that, and brother-sister relationships, I kind of look at a little bit more critically on how they're portrayed, but this is an interesting brother and sister dynamic, and I'm like, ooh, damn, that hurts how they were talking about what was going on, and I'm like, oh, dig more into this, I'm really interested in that. And of course he goes kind of back, and he's talking with Atoy, and she's like, well, he was at a bar, and just kind of like drowning his sorrows, she comes up and talks with him and everything, and she knew about her as well, or at least had inklings about it, because someone else had come over a year before and was killed trying to look for her, and she's like, well, I can do some stuff we can get you a girl to kind of drown your sorrows, and then, no, that's not what it's going to be. And anyway, she also brought up why he didn't have sex with the prostitute. He's like, I want to do that with somebody that has a choice. And she's like, there's only one person here. And then, of course, they get it on. And, of course, he's still asleep. She leaves, cloaks herself, goes out, and then kills the two guys that had killed the two Chinese people. It's like, holy shit. She's pretty badass. And we had seen the kind of head dude of the Irish workers. It's almost kind of like an Irish mafia kind of syndicate, but it's not that clear cut yet. We see him brawling, and he's got some good brawling fighting skills as well, so we'll have to see how that kind of shakes out as well. And we had also seen that the rookie cop was seeing that his sergeant dude was talking with the head guy that usually brings in the Chinese immigrants and was getting hatchets and knives from him. He's like, we've got guns and everything. Shouldn't we be like arresting this dude? Dude, you don't know how this works. And that, yeah, we've got firearms, but we don't usually have enough bullets to police with what's going on. It's like, damn, this is going to be nasty kind of pretty much close quarters combat kind of shit. And it's just like, that's kind of where it ends off with all the different storylines. I know it was kind of like out of sequence, but I kind of went with the kind of more interesting ones. I kind of rather would have liked it. I like the idea of kind of like a Western Kung Fu TV show. I just think that it would have been better if it was just focused on Asum. I mean, I like the other kind of things going on, but you get into an effect of balancing too many plates at once, and some storylines are going to suffer. I don't really care that much about the mayor and his newlywed at this point, except with the political motivations that can influence the Tongs and all that. And I hope that the Tongs and Asum take up the bulk of the show, not just because it could lead to nice, awesome Kung Fu martial arts things. Granted, that's also a consideration, a factor here, because I'm like, we need more Kung Fu TV shows. Really good Kung Fu TV shows, Kung Fu movies. They're awesome. I mean, and when you see really good ones, they're like really good ones. You're going, okay, come on. And it seems like the other subplots are kind of, they could potentially become distractions. So hopefully they get better integrated and a better flow going further into this season. That's the main kind of issue that I can really see popping up, because we'd also seen that Mai Ling was talking with Buckley, the political dude, and is trying everything that she can to make sure that a war pretty much breaks out between the Tongs, because the head Tong that she was talking about and her syndicate wanted to have a peace between them and the halfway. It's like, yay, but she's pretty much doing a Lady Macbeth kind of thing. It's like, what? What? Okay, that sucks. But we'll kind of have to see what goes on. And always you kind of have to be like, all right, see kind of what a second episode or so feels like. This, of course, might be another one where it would be better to binge watch the series rather than wait over a period of time, because it might flow better as one continuous story rather than like episode to episode. So hopefully the second episode kind of becomes more focused and less about plate spinning and setting the world up. I mean, you can build out more of the world, but focus the storyline and make it integrate very well with the storyline. So we'll have to see about that. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.